you'll have your finished piece, which is in this case a kiwi, and then you'll have some jute string, some felt. You'll need to grab a pen and some scissors, and optionally you can use some glue, but you don't have to. That's just an optional extra if you want to make it slightly more secure. So first you'll check the back of your piece and see if you have any threads that need to be cut off. I think this looks fine, so I don't have anything I need to cut off. So then you'll grab your piece of felt and you'll turn it over, and you'll notice this brown paper, which is just the backing paper of the sticker, the adhesive backed felt. So from there you will grab your pen and you can trace around your kiwi design onto the backing paper of the adhesive backed felt. And trace all the way around. And now you have the outline of your design. So you want to grab some scissors. Now I would recommend using some scissors you don't mind wrecking a bit, because they will get a little bit sticky from the adhesive back felt. So you would then cut around the design. I usually cut a little bit inside the lines. It doesn't have to be perfect, because you will be cutting it a little bit more once you get it onto the back of your piece. So that's all trimmed up. Take the excess away. I'm going to clean up the mess it makes. And then you want to grab your jute string, and you want to kind of decide how big a loop you want. So I like my loops a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to cut my jute string down to a more reasonable size for the size of loop I want to create. So I'm going to create a loop about that big. So once I have my loop, I'm going to place it on the back. And then if you're not using any additional glue, you can just stick your adhesive felt straight over, and that should hold it in place mostly. I'm going to use a little bit of glue just to make it hold a little bit stronger. And use a tiny bit of glue, which just means that in about 24 hours, once it's set, it should just be a little bit easier to pull on without it potentially coming off. So I'm going to place my glue and my string where I want it to hang. Don't use glue that's too liquid, because if it's too liquid, it will potentially run through to the front, and then you'll see it on the front where your stitches are. So now that I've got my glue down, I'm going to place my adhesive backed felt over the top of it. So you just peel off the adhesive backing. And then make sure that this is where you want it to be. If you've not used glue, you'll just need to hold it in place while you stick your felt on, because it will move around. So then you can stick your adhesive felt onto the back. And then I like to hear, once the adhesive felt is sort of helping me a bit by allowing me to move around my piece, I will just move it into the position I want and make sure it's exactly where I want it, and it's hanging nicely, so that when I hang it, it hangs straight and level, and it's not to one side. So now that that's all done, you can see there's some adhesive felt poking through to the front. So now we want to turn our piece over again and grab our scissors, and we're just going to peel it back, the adhesive felt from the wood, and then trim back to where it sits, so that it's not poking around the front, and it gives it a little bit of a tidier look on the front. Around the string it can be a bit tricky, but just be careful to not accidentally cut your string. Cut carefully around the top until it looks nice and it's not poking around the front. And once I think I've done, I'll just go back around to the front and double check that there's nothing poking through. Sometimes I will also go around with my scissors and just trim off a bit of the excess hairiness from the jute string. But once I'm satisfied that it looks nice and it's ready, I can hang it on my tree or hang it up somewhere. It's a nice little hanging decoration. The other option is if you want to gift it to someone or you just want to store it away for Christmas next year, you can place it onto the backing card provided in with your kit. You can write who stitched it and when they stitched it, so that you have a record for future reference. And then you would just pop your little loop through the hole there, and then you have a little hanging decoration ready for your tree or for a wall or to give to someone else.